So by the end of section 2, we have completed the foundation or basic concepts of n8n. In this section 3, we are going to deep dive into some of the intermediate or advanced concepts of n8n. Today in this first lesson of section 3, let's have a quick recap of what we have learned so far and build a step-by-step workflow to automate another business process so that you can get an understanding of how multiple apps connect with each other. What is the role of n8n in all these connections that happens between various apps out there in the business world or productivity world. By now you have already got a basic understanding of how different apps are connecting with each other via n8n, but in today's lesson we'll be expanding the number of apps. We'll be adding Notion to add tasks to a task tracker, and we'll also see how you can integrate n8n with a CRM like Airtable. Before we deep dive into building the workflow, let's first understand how these different apps connect with each other via automation platforms like n8n. Well, traditionally, the apps that are there, when I say apps, these are more or less software that you are using on day-to-day life. These could be Google Sheets, these could be Airtable, these could be other CRMs like HubSpot, Salesforce, these could be Slack notification, Gmail notification, you are sending emails to your customer. So many different apps we come across. Most of these apps don't talk directly to each other. They do not provide any kind of integration capabilities which are inbuilt into them. For example, if you want to update your CRM with a new lead that has been added as a row in a Google Sheet, you cannot do that. You have to write some sort of code, hire a programmer, or you have to do this task manually. n8n acts as a bridge between all these apps and let them talk to each other. We have already seen it uses trigger. As soon as something happens in an app, the n8n can start a workflow. It can then start performing actions, sending emails, sending notifications on Slack or MS Teams, updating a CRM, updating a worksheet. All these actions can be built with n8n into your workflow. If the apps are not able to connect with each other natively via n8n nodes, then HTTP node can be used to talk to these different apps and connect with each other. So think of n8n as a universal translator for all your apps connecting with each other and moving data between them seamlessly. Now without wasting time, let's get to the screen share and start building our workflow. Alright, I'm logged into the n8n workspace of my cloud instance. I'm currently in my personal project where n8n course folder is created, and under which I have created a blank workflow 5, connecting different apps. We'll be automating the lead management for a small business, and if I zoom in a bit, so in your business, an operator can collect leads via surveys using many Google Forms. In the previous section, we have seen that how you can integrate Google Forms with your n8n workspace or webhook. But in this case, consider that you have many Google Forms distributed and all of them are being used in different areas of websites or are circulated elsewhere, and people are using all those different forms and they are submitting leads or some sort of information to you. So the task of this operators is that he or she browse through all these surveys responses daily, collate them, and saves all new leads to a common Google Sheet, storing leads from all these surveys or forms that are being submitted every day. Lot of work, right? Someone else then evaluates these Google Sheet if the lead is qualified or not. Maybe a company email is mentioned so that it makes it a qualified lead. You can also have AI too to validate whether the lead is qualified or not, whether the company exists or not, whether you want to enrich the information of the lead with the company information. But AI topics will come later in this course. So for now, we'll be using conditional logic in order to interpret whether the lead is qualified or not. If the lead is qualified, then that person sends a Slack notification to sales team, creates a task for sales team in Notion task board to follow with potential customer, and create an entry in CRM like Salesforce or HubSpot or Airtable. We'll be using Airtable today. So this is a very simple workflow we'll be building. You have seen similar workflow, but we have added two new apps to it. One is Notion and the second one is Airtable. And knowing about more and more of these apps and their integration with n8n, n8n will help you build more and more complex business workflows to solve many business problems out there in the world. Alright, so let's start building this workflow. I'll add a trigger which will be like on webhook call. So you can see that webhook configuration screen has opened, and what we want is a test URL for now, and the HTTP method should be post because we want to receive data and process or act upon it. We don't want to fetch data. So I'm going to use post over here, and I'll leave rest of the things as is. Now we are going to go to the Google Forms, and I've already created one form. We can open it and see. Okay, it has first name, last name, email, role. Let's edit this form and add another field called company so that we can verify whether the company was mentioned or not for this particular user which is signing up using this form somewhere in our website. So let me add another question over here, and it has added the company name. And let's make it like, short answer text, and let's make it required, and let's drag it down below, maybe like the email. So now it's first name, last name, email, company name, role. So that's one form we have. You can have multiple such forms and configure them so that they can be integrated into the webhook node or have webhook integration. And how you do that, I've already created a dedicated video. Go and watch the webhook node lesson in the previous section of this course so that you have an understanding of how you can connect Google Forms with a webhook. So I'll leave that as a homework to you so that you can configure multiple forms and integrate with your n8n workflow. But for now, let's continue configuring and finish up integration of this particular form with our n8n workflow. So what I'll do is I'll click on this 3 ellipses and click on app script. It should open up. Oops, sometimes it happens that it creates a bad request. If this is happening to you, this is probably the cookies issue or the session that it maintains or multiple accounts that you add as Google account. So what you can do to solve this particular error is open the Google form in a new incognito window. So I'm going to open up this Google form in a fresh Safari browser in private or incognito mode. So I'll open up Safari, and then what I'll do is I'll have a new private window. I'll search for Google Forms. Okay, so we'll go over here and I'm signing in. So for signing in, I should use GenAI Unplugged. So I have a passkey over here. What now? Alright, so you can see this form is also over here. So I'm going to click it. So this is the form, first name, last name, email, company name. We just added it. So I'm going to click on this, and now I'm clicking on script. So now you can see that it has opened, and you can see over here the post URL of this particular integration is this. So now we have to go back to our n8n workspace where we have added the webhook node. So I'm going to do that, and then copy this URL and paste it over here. So I'm going to click on it. The URL is copied, and I'm going to go back over here, and let me just paste it, and you will see why. So you can see that this URL is different from this one because this was created for a previous lesson. So I'm going to use this instead of this particular URL. So I'll just delete this here. Alright, I'm going to paste this. Okay, and I'm going to save. So I'm going to click on run. You would see that execution started, but nothing happened because right now nothing is listening. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to our workspace, and I'm going to click on this listen for test event. So now our webhook is listening. So what we can do is we can go back and again click on run. And you can see that there is no error anymore. So that means this particular form is successfully integrated with the webhook node that we just added on a newly created workflow. You can replicate this process for multiple forms and integrate multiple forms that particular workflow. So now let's come back. So you can see that it has fetched the last response that was submitted, and the last response did not have a company name. So let's submit a new form so that we have a company name to work with. So let's go back over here, go back to our form. So let's copy the responder link from here. So I'll copy this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a new page, or let's open up a new window, and let's paste it over here. So now the form is open. Alright, so let's submit the details. So I'm going to write Neeraj Sharma. Maybe I'll use this. The company details, I have to mention it. I am the owner. Let's submit. The form is submitted. We'll see a new response. Alright, so node executed successfully. You can see the newly created form was submitted and the response was received. So the active integration is working now. Let's go back. So that means we are ready to automate the first step where he or she browses through these surveys daily, collates and saves all this information to a common Google Sheet, storing all the leads from all the surveys. So now we have to add a Google Sheets node. So I'm going to search here. We have to append a row. So I'll use this append or update a row in a sheet. So let's use that. So I already have a Google account added to it. So let's see what we have. Okay, I need to work with sheets within the document. Append a row from a list of documents, corporate signups follow-up. Let's open that. Let me open this file first. So you can see that it does not have a company name. So I'm going to like also have company name over here. So let's add that and let's like remove this data. All right. So let me do this. Let me keep the order same as well. You don't need to keep the order same. You can map these fields. I'm just doing it so that there is no confusion at all. So I'm going to go back over here. Now let's go to the sheet. Let's find out the sheet. So now you can see that it does not matter how I have ordered the columns. You can match it over here. So it is showing first name, last name, email, company name, role. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag them just like we did it previously. So drag this in the last name, drag the email over here, drag the company name, drag the role, and let's test the step. Oh, so we got an error. The column to match on parameter is required. Column. Okay, so this parameter is required usually in ID, and why we are getting this while adding a row is because we have used append or update row as an operation. So for this node to know which row to update, it would need an ID so that it can match and update that particular row. And that's why I was confused why it is asking for an ID for adding a row. So for adding a row, you do not need it. So I'm going to change the operation to append row because we just have to append it. So now you can see that that particular option is no longer available on the node settings. So I'm going to click on test step. So the operation is successful. It should have successfully added the row to our Google Sheet. So let's open that and you can see the data is added. Dheeraj Sharma, the email is there, company name is there, owner is there. I just realized that I've done a simple mistake while configuring the form. So I'm going to go back and show you what I did. So let's go back over here and open up the configuration of our form, which was over here. So this was a form that we created and I made this company name as a required field. So we will not be able to submit a form without a company name. But in the workflow, I have to show you that if the lead is qualified, that means company name is mentioned. So if I leave this to required setting, then I'll not be able to show you the other conditional logic that will happen in our workflow. So for now, I'll make it as not required field so that we can submit some forms without having this information and our workflow can evaluate much like some person is manually evaluating that condition. So now let's go back and go to the workflow and go back to our canvas. And now you can see that this step, he or she browses through all these surveys from daily, collate and saves all new leads to a common Google Sheet, storing all leads from all these surveys in a common single place. So like I said, you can use the configuration or the test URL or production URL of this webhook node to be integrated with various Google Forms. It is going to listen to all of them and start submitting data to Google Sheets. So the first step we have already automated in this workflow without writing any piece of code. Now let's automate the second step where someone else is evaluating this Google Sheet and if the lead is qualified or not, and by qualification maybe we can put a logic that if the company email is mentioned or the company name is mentioned or not. So for that I'll click on this plus icon and add the if node over here. So let's search if. So it opens up the if node configuration and what we can do is drag this company name over here and maybe say is not empty. All right, so company name is not empty is one condition that we have. Second condition we can also put is email equals to, maybe like we can find out email ends with or does not start with, does not ends with. We can say gmail.com. Then we can add another condition and say email does not ends with hotmail.com. So this could be the logic that you can put to evaluate whether the lead is qualified or not. There could be some other logic that you maybe in your business or any business that you are trying to automate the workflow for, they are evaluating the leads on a different qualification criteria. You can put that kind of logic over here. Now let's test this node. So based on this input, it is giving a true branch return because we have specified a company name. That condition is true. We have specified an email that is not ending with Gmail or Hotmail. Hence, we are getting a true branch over here. So now we have automated the step 2 as well of this workflow where someone was evaluating all these leads and identifying which are qualified leads or not qualified leads. Now let's move on automating the third step, which is if the lead is qualified, then first step is the person is sending a Slack notification to the sales team. So let's use our previously built or integrated Slack node. So I'll add a Slack node over here. All right. So we need to send a message. Alright, so sending a message should be down over here. Search, send a message. I've already shown you how to integrate the Slack account. If you have not watched that video, go and watch that video on my YouTube channel. I'm going to use all credentials for this. Resource will be message, operation is send, and where we are going to send is a channel. And what channel we can select? We can select probably user registration events. Okay, message type is simple text message. For the message text, what we can say is new lead alert, and then I can enter. We can put the name here, and let's drag this first name, right? Then let's drag the last name as well. So it's showing me name Dheeraj Sharma, new lead alert. That's how the message preview looks like. Alright, so this message is configured. Let me test this step. Alright, the message has been sent to my Slack workspace. Now let's go to our Slack workspace and check it out. So you can see I'm in my GenAI Unplugged Slack workspace, and over here this channel was there, and this was the new alert that we have sent just now. So now we'll go back to our workflow. We'll go back to the canvas. So we have automated the step 4A. Now it is time that I introduce two more new apps to you. First one, we are going to integrate Notion, and we are going to create a task for our sales team so that they can basically communicate with the new lead that has just been registered. So for that, I'll go over here and click on this plus icon. As all these steps could be sequential, first the Slack message is sent, then a Notion task is being created. So I'll search for Notion. There are many actions that Notion Node supports. You can see block actions are there, database actions are there, database page actions are there. Then there is page action, archive, create, search page, and get user action. There are a couple of triggers as well, that if something is happening within your Notion workspace, you can trigger the workflow as well. We'll come to it in some other workflow, but for now I'll use the append block over here. So now Notion Node configuration parameter screen has been opened. I've already set up a Notion credential over here, but just to demonstrate how you can set up or integrate Notion, I'm going to reset it up or create a new credential for you so that you know it how to do it step by step. So as soon as I open this Notion, it is asking me for an internal integration secret over here. So what you can do is, let me just open up the doc so that you can get more clarity on it. So you can see the Notion credentials can be used for Notion Node as well as Notion Trigger as well. You should have a Notion account with admin level access, and the supported authentication methods are API integration token, which is used for internal integration, and Auth2, which is used for public integration. And what the public integration is, if you go down a bit, there's a difference between internal and public integration, and you can see it's very simple. Internal integration are for specific to a single workspace, like for example what we are doing right now. It is accessible only to the members of that workspace and ideal for custom workspace enhancements. However, public integrations are usable across multiple or unrelated Notion workspace, accessible by any Notion user regardless of their workspace, and ideal for catering to broad use cases. This is the one that you might be creating when you are developing an app, so that app is being able to integrate to any Notion workspace. While automating our business workflow, we just need to integrate to one workspace. So that means we are going to use the internal integration, which just requires an API key. And how do I do it? I'm going to show you a step-by-step process of it. So first we are going to open a Notion workspace. So I have already created a Notion workspace, and there is a task tracker page as well over here. So in order to develop the integration, what you have to do is you have to click on this, click on the settings from here. You can click the settings over here as well. Then you will need to go to the connections tab, and you need to click on this develop or manage integrations first. So once you click on it, it will take you to another page where you have to create a new integration. You have to first give it a name. So I'm going to call it n8n. I'm going to associate my workspace over here. So it's Dheeraj Sharma's Notion. The type is internal or external. We have already talked about internal versus public. For internal ones, you do not need any kind of approvals, but for external one, you need to submit this app so that Notion team can approve this integration. You need to provide more details, but like I said, it is required only when you are integrating with multiple workspaces. You are developing an app that is going to integrate with Notion in general that you don't know about. Here we know about where we are integrating which workspace, so I'm going to use internal over here. You have to upload a logo over here. I'll click on it and I'll use this image. So the logo is updated. I'll click on save. So now configure integration settings. So this is where you are going to get the integration secret that you have to basically copy it. I'll click on show and I'll just copy this. So this is copied now. Then you are going to scroll down and select the capabilities, which is nothing but more like permissions, that you are allowing this integration to read content, update content, and insert content. You can have capabilities for comment as well, read comments and insert comments, but I'll leave it blank for now for this particular integration. And the user capabilities, whether you want to share any kind of user information, whether you want to read user information without email address. So I'll select this. This is more secure in nature. This one also includes the email addresses with the user. But for now, we'll leave these settings and click on save. So this has created an integration with this name over here. If I go back to integration, you will see that this integration, which is of internal integration type, has been created, and I can again go back and select the settings if I want to do anything about it. Now the last step that is required is I have to come over here. So again, I'll just click over here. You will see that this is my Notion workspace where the integration has been created, but I have to invite this integration to participate in this particular page. So for that, what I do is I make a connection. So if I click on this 3 ellipses, you would see there is this connections over here. You have to search this particular name. So the name was n8n GAIU integration. So I'm going to go back again and click on connections, and here I'll write n8n. It should show up. So you can see it has shown up over here. I'll click on this. Now it is asking connect this particular app or integration to this particular page. I have to confirm it. Once I confirm it, it showed me what kind of permissions have been allowed on this particular page with that integration. Now the integration has been set up and we have copied the integration API key that I'm now going to go back to our n8n workspace over here, and I'm going to copy this secret here and just let's save it. The credential has been successfully created inside your personal workspace. So this is Notion account 2, and I have given you a step-by-step process. You can see the connection tested successfully. So now let's go back over here. So the credentials are done. Now we have to work on the resource. So for the resource, what I have to do is I have to add a database page because we are working on a database of this task tracker. So this task tracker is of database type kind of page. Hence we have to work on the database page over here. So I'll go back over here and I'll click on database page. As soon as I click on it, the operation says whether I want to create a database page inside a database or get it or get many or update a page. I'll use the create one because we have to create a task over here in our task list. So from list, you can see that it's allowing us to select a database. When I click on it, as the integration is successful, it is showing me the task tracker is there. When I click on it, and if I click on this icon, which is more like a link, it will open up our task tracker. So you can see that the database of task tracker is open. No task is created. Every task or every row that you would see over here is more like a page, and hence that's why it's called database page that needs to be created. Here we will specify a particular title and we'll keep it simple like I use for Slack notification, new lead alert. And here we can start adding the blocks. Blocks are nothing but what you want to basically specify. So here I have to specify a paragraph or a heading or heading 2, 3. You can see that all these blocks can be added. We'll keep it simple. We'll have it paragraph based only. And what I'll do is I'll just specify the details. So instead of using Slack, we'll use the if node, right? So if node, the email was there. So what I'm going to do is the name, we'll follow the same thing. Name is first name and then last name. And then over here, we'll say email. We'll use this. Finally, the company name. Now, if I test this step out, you would see that this particular block will get created over here. So this has created a new database page for us. Now if I go to our task tracker, so you can see that a new lead alert, this has been created. If I go by status and maybe like click on this new page alert, you would see that these details, the description that we mentioned in the block has been added. However, one more thing that I would like to tell you, if I go back to all tasks again, you see all this status, assignee, due date, priority, task type, description, or task name was there, attached file, past due. All these properties are over here. And how can I access these properties? If I go back over here and click on this add property thing, I can click on this and it will start loading up all the properties or columns of our database, a table that is there in the Notion workspace. And I can click on it and I can select any of these properties. I can even mention the description as and copy this from here and paste it over here. Or I can also say that effort level is, let's suppose, high or medium. I'll just say test And now it is going to basically put an effort level as well. Let's go ahead and see. So you can see another one is created, which is right at the top. And if I scroll a bit on the right, you would see the effort level is medium. So that's how you integrate Notion to an n8n workspace. And we have automated the step 4B as well, that a manual person was creating all these tasks by opening up this Notion workspace and adding tasks for the sales team. Now it is completely automated. Now we'll go back to our workflow again. I'll go back from here and you can see, like I said, we have automated till step 4B. Last step that is remaining is step 4C, and that's where we are going to introduce the second new app of this workflow, which is Airtable. So far you have not seen that app in the entire course. This is the first time that you are seeing. Now we are going to follow the same step-by-step process on how to integrate Airtable with n8n, how to create a credential of it, and then finally how to add an entry of this particular workflow into the Airtable database, which is acting as a CRM for us in our use case. As we continue to build this workflow, I'm going to add the Airtable node over here. So you can see that there are 8 actions available on the Airtable node, and there is a trigger as well. You can have some base action, get many bases, or get base schema, or you can have record actions. For example, create a record, create or update a record, delete, get, search, update record. What we are interested is in creating a record. So I'll click on that. So now you can see that I do not have any credential created so far for the Airtable integration with my n8n workspace. And that is what I'm going to show you step by step in this particular lesson. Let's click on the documentation first. I'll open this. So this opens up the documentation of Airtable node, and you can see all the details are available. Some templates are available. What we are interested is in creating the credentials first. So I'll click on this Airtable credentials documentation guide, and you can see that you can use these credentials to authenticate the following nodes. So if I go back over here, if I click on create new credentials, you will see that there are 2 types of credentials that we can create. One is connect using access token, the other one is OAuth. So first I'm going to show you how to create the access token integration, and for that you can see I have to paste the access token over here, and it tells me that we have to enable following scopes: data.records::read, data.records::write, and schema.bases::read. So we'll go back over here, and you can see that the prerequisite is create an Airtable account. So I've already created an Airtable account, so I'll open that up. So my Airtable workspace is open. Let's go back to the documentation again, and you can see that supported authentication methods are personal access token, which is also called PAT, and OAuth 2. So now we'll go back and see how we can do it. And as I told you, I'll explain both these authentication methods. So what you have to do is, once you log into your Airtable, I have already created a base over here, which is like customer development. That is where we are going to add a record in our workflow. But for now, we have to do the integration or setup first. So for that, you have to click this user icon over here and go to this builders hub. You can see that it has library, developers, and resources. We are interested in this developers section, and first, like I said, we'll talk about the personal access token. So I'm going to click on it, and it says you have no personal access tokens for now. So I'm going to create a token, and first it is asking me what is the name of this token. So I'm going to just say n8n. And now it is asking me to add the scopes. Remember, like when we were creating this, it is asking us to at least have these 3 scopes. So we are going to go back over here and start adding these scopes. So data.record::read was there, and then data.records::write was there, and finally there was schemas.bases.read. Then it asks us this token can access the following bases and workspaces. I'll just say add all resources. What you can also do is, if I want to just allow a single base, you can do that as well. For example, over here I can allow just this base so that this particular integration token can only access or update records in this particular base only. But for this example, let's leave it for all resources, and it says all current and future bases and all current and future workspaces. So it covers everything. You do not need to create token further. However, this is not the recommended approach. You should follow least privilege principle approach, where you are only giving the access or creating the token to a particular base or a workspace where you want the integration to happen, not everything into your account. For now, it is just an example. So we'll leave it here, and I'm going to click on create token. So this gives me the token. I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to click on done. So this has created one integration token. It has an ID over here. So you have to make sure that you have copied the token. Now I'm going to come back over here, and I'm going to paste this in my n8n. So once I paste it, I click on save. Alright, so it says credentials successfully created. connection tested successfully. So that means we have successfully created a personal access token to connect our Airtable account with our n8n workspace. Now let's quickly see what are the steps to create these credentials via OAuth 2 mechanism as well. So for that, I'm going to exit this screen and I'm going to come back over here, create new credentials, and this time I'm going to use the OAuth 2. So when I click on OAuth 2, it gives me OAuth redirect URL. I have to first copy it. So it has been copied. This client ID and client secrets, we are going to get it from our Airtable account builder sub. So I'm going to come back over here and you can see first we created personal access token, which is this one. Now I'm going to create on OAuth integration. So over here, I have to click on register and OAuth integration. Click on this. I'm going to give it name again, n8n. And it is asking for a redirect URL. I'm going to paste the redirect URL that I copied from here. So this was the redirect URL. Let's go back and verify. Yes, this was the one that I copied. So I pasted over here, click on register integration. Now it is asking me to provide some of the details. So I can have a tagline. I can have a homepage URL about my integration. I can upload a logo as well. I'll click on it. I'll select the icon of GenAI Unplugged. Now this is the client ID that we have to keep a note of. I'll copy this, go back to my n8n workspace and I'll paste it over here. So client ID has been provided. Now we have to generate a client secret. Let's come back over here. You can see that it says generate client secret as a link. So I'm going to click on this. It says, are you sure you want to generate this client secret? I'll click on generate. It has generated the client secret. Now I have to copy it and make a note of it. So I'll click on done over here and I'll go back and just paste it for now. So I've just pasted it. I'm not clicking on connect my account because we still have some settings to do in our integration. So here we have to select the scope, which is data.records:read, data.records:write, and finally we want schema.basis:read. So these are the minimum permissions that n8n requires to integrate with Airtable. So we'll leave it over here and then we'll keep scrolling down and click on grant access. And finally click on the save changes. So now we have to go back over here. So now I'm going to click on this connect my account. So it is going to open a pop-up and over here you can see now it is asking which resources I want access on. So I'll click on this add all resources. Same setting that we did for personal access token. I'm going to click on grant access. Make sure that pop-ups are allowed on the window that you are doing because this is a pop-up that is opening. If you're not seeing this screen, that means you have blocked pop-up over here. You can see that now account has been successfully connected and this particular credential now can also access your Airtable account. So both the methods of integration has been successfully created in our n8n workspace. Before we go back to our workflow and add the record, I wanted to show you one more thing. So if you come back over here, you can see that this integration will be limited to development use. Basically what it is telling is that if you want to let other Airtable users authorize this integration, you will have to add support email, privacy policy and terms and conditions. This is very similar to Notion as well, where when you have to create a public integration, then you would require your integration to be submitted to Notion team. They will approve it. Over here as well, if you want other people to use this kind of integration, you have to provide these details so that it can be used for production as well. But for our example where we are integrating to the workspace or the base where you have full control or your client has full control, you do not need to publish these details. So now let's go back to our workflow. I'm going to click on cross over here. So you can see both the credentials are created. I'm going to use the personal access token for now. So the resource that we are going to act upon is record, not the base. So I'm going to just leave it over here. Operation is create. There are other operations like I showed you. Then over here, we have to select a base and we are going to use it from the list. So if I click on it, it is going to fetch. So you can see that customer development CRM, that was the base that we had. If I go back, so you can see that this is the base that I have. If I click on it, it would have some records of the customers. So let me just cross it. Let me cross this one too. So you can see that in this customer development CRM base, I already have 5 records. So I'm going to go back now and select this one. Okay, so the base is selected. What table we want to select? It is asking us customers, interview, problem statements, features. So we want to select the customers. Now it is similar to the Google Sheets node where it is asking us to map the column mode. So I'm selecting map each column manually. You can select map automatically as well. So over here, I'll go back to our if node where the filter data was there. So values to send, name is first name. So I'm going to click on this and drag it over here. Let me expand this to make it more readable. So now I'm going to collapse this. Let's open the if node where the filter data is there. So first name we have already dragged. Now we are going to drag the last name as well. So it is like Dheeraj Sharma. There is no space. So I'm going to click here and provide a space. So now the first name property or name property has been filled over here. What we want is an email as well. I'm going to just drag the email to. So the personas are mapped to this, but we are getting owner. So what you have to do is you have to basically configure your Google Form so that you are only accepting the personas that the CRM is expecting. But we did not do that. It is a free text. So if I'm going to add a role over here or drag the role over here, it is going to give us an error. So I'm going to leave this field empty, maybe like just delete these two and even this one. So let's test this out. So new record has been added. So now you can go back over here and you can see a new user or new customer has been added with my name and the email address. And like I said, persona is a list column which allows only certain values. Maybe when the sales team connect with this customer, they will better understand who this person is, what their role are, what is the usage type, and when they can schedule an interview with them. So that's how the Notion task that we created can become more useful in enriching this customer information in your CRM. And if we go back to our workflow step, now if I go back to the canvas, you can see that we have also automated the last step, which is create an entry in CRM like Salesforce, HubSpot, Airtable. Maybe in future videos, I'll try to show you the integration with Salesforce or HubSpot, but for now, Airtable was the choice of our CRM, and we have automated this entire lead management workflow without writing a single line of code. I hope this lesson on connecting various different apps was again useful for you. You have got a better understanding of two new apps, Notion as well as Airtables, and how to integrate them. In the next lesson of this course, we are going to deep dive into conditional logic, branching, and execution order of the workflow. So stay tuned and I'll see you in the next lesson.